Okay, so this is gonna start, I think, about first with the pelvis, trying to get the pelvis in a neutral position so you're not overarched, but also not all the way kind of tucked under. So we want to find that little bit like the happy neutral. We're gonna try to start there. We're gonna try to think like pubic symphysis and xiphoid process, point relatively down at each other in the same angle set, and then we're vertically stacked in relation here if we were to flip us upright. So we're going to start here. I'm just going to scoot a little so you can see. So I'm going to start in that position. We're going to see, can we get slow engagement of the hamstrings. We're going to think about not digging the heels down, but getting enough like traction there and pulling back slowly. So we want to make sure we're not feeling like TFL and then the other hip flexors doing this motion. We want to feel mainly hamstrings and maybe a little bit of calf. We'll talk about why that happens later though. So just build that up slowly. Then you're going to think about, can you use those hamstrings, just do a little ever so slight tuck the pelvis and feel a little bit of like lower abdominals engage. When you're in that position, you're just going to focus on the exhale now. We want to think about rib cage is coming down with each exhale. And get that little bit of muscular engagement at the end of that exhale. Hold it for a couple seconds. Inhale, we're thinking all the way around the rib cage here, not letting this pop up and arching the back to get that air, and then using all the neck muscles. So we're just trying to hold this position and breathe. Pause. Feel that tension. Inhale. You give yourself that little bit of resistance with the exhale, almost like you're like breathing through a straw or like pursed lips. So it'll help you get a little bit more of that full exhale. So from there, we're going to start working on being able to maintain that intra-abdominal pressure. So we're going to have that little bit of muscular engagement. Then we're also going to have that passive pressure engagement. So kind of just as a quick little tool here before we go fully into it, if you go kind of that 90-90 we'll do later, or take a big inhale, then lift the legs up. That belly pressing up, that's going to be more of that passive pressure. The hamstrings and the exhale is going to be more of that active pressure. You want to think about it that way. So we're going to start there and then see, can we keep that little bit of muscular engagement and just start marching one leg at a time without letting pelvis move. If you need to, you can try to press the opposite foot into the ground a little bit to give yourself a little bit of an anchor. Try to use that as little as possible so you have to really control here. Then you'll start going alternating side to side, and there's going to be a moment where both feet are on the ground pressing down to help avoid that big shift. Then from there, you can go to 90-90. We're going to get that little extra tuck of the tailbone. You just practice holding this position here. You can do a little bit of just bending and straightening the knee, dissociate knee from hip motion, just give you a little more challenge here, and then we can go into that same march. And you're thinking about, can you maintain that pressure 360 degrees around, not just in the front. And then from the march, you can hold in that position. Now we can start trying to stabilize going overhead without rib cage popping up. So once you're there, slowly here, so make sure elbows aren't flaring. Little challenge here, coming up. And as you get better at this, you can start layering in other cues we've talked about, kind of like that suctioning the tongue up to the roof of your mouth. And getting a little bit like the deep neck flexors engaged. And just start trying to put in other little things to kind of get the basics down here, and then we can start worrying about adding in more intricacies later. The one thing that we didn't do that I want you practicing is seeing, can you, from that 90-90 position, head locked in, just start seeing, can you control roll over to the side. You don't have to come back up, but I just want you practicing from here. See, can you maintain that as you start rolling over? If you can do it coming back, that's completely fine, but this is going to be where we start, and then we'll start adding a little bit more dynamic movements off of that.